Someone died! Hooray! Oh no, the adventure of the clouded Korok. How many are there now? There's like fucking 50. 100. 50, 100.
I begin to think, Wilson.
Yeah, we could have finished that. We just kept going another 20 minutes, but whatever.
That there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
I actually really like the progression of this game. None of the cases feel like filler. I mean, like, 2 kind of feels like filler, but, like, they all lead into each other really well. Like, you got a really nice overarching plot going here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eating. Now, do you want to guess? So they're talking about the luxury hotel they stayed in. Do you want to guess? Did they actually stay in a luxury hotel, or are they staying in a normal hotel, but it feels luxurious to them because they're Japanese? With all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. Yeah, no, it's the second one. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Burya, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. Are beds different size? I mean, I guess people in Japan are shorter, but I don't know if that would equate to different bed sizes. I guess on average, the British would have larger beds because there's more space to live in. Japan's very mountainous. I don't know. Wait, did the Japanese even have beds? Or do they sleep on mats? Or am I thinking of chairs? I'm thinking of chairs, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
They've got to have beds, right?
They've got some sort of bed. It's not like a traditional what
Like,
we
I know
would think.
nowadays they do, but like...
Back then it wasn't like what you would think of as a bed, but it's definitely bigger than a little bit more than a mat.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because you don't really think about going to, like, sleepy time is so... I'm getting distracted by the dumbest things I know. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. You are the worst bedfellow, my boy. Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. It's honestly like our bed, but for one person. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Man. There's my phone. Let's see here. How many pounds is a guinea?
According to Wikipedia, in each case a guinea meant an amount of £1 and 1 shilling, or £1 and 5 pence in decimalized currency.
A guinea's only like $1.05? I thought it was more than that. Okay, so, I mean, 1,000 guineas would still have been a lot. Oh, but pounds aren't the same as dollars, though, aren't they? How much is a pound? $0.10? What? That doesn't sound right. Oh, guinea and francs. In the 1930s, the exchange rate was about $5 to £1 sterling. Oh, so a guinea's like $5.25.
Okay, so it's about $5,000.
Still not bad.
Mm-hmm.
£1,000 in 1920 is the equivalent about so. Oh, and then if we're adjusting for inflation, basically take that times 5 or times 10.
So 15.
So something like 50,000. It would have been a fucking lot. I'm glad we spent time. We did this with the rubles too, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting. I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I don't know about that. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. So you paid it, right? You paid the bill, right? Like, what's going on here? Well, never mind. We're not... What? If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up to 10... Oh, okay, so they
did pay the
have,
bill.
They have an allowance. London is a scary place. Good morning to you at this early hour. I think I'm using this voice for Ace Attorney as well, but whatever. Yes, well, we are, well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Sato-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh, yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruto performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been apprised of events. Well, I'm going to send you back because somebody died in the courtroom. So that's unfortunate. You conducted a remarkable offense. You may consider the test passed. You're a lawyer. Congratulations. He like smacked him on the butt. Get out there, son. No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So I'm a lawyer now. It took us fucking 4 cases, but now we're a lawyer. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Can you imagine if this isn't related to the fucking fire at all? Like, we just get some rando case, like, hey,
I mean, we might.
I stole 5 guineas. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. There actually has been a case where they do that really well, 3-2, where it starts off you're just doing a thief. You're trying to figure out a case of trying to figure out who the thief is, and then by day 2 it turns into a murder. Like every case in this whole game revolves around, or in this series, I should say, revolves around a murder, at least one. I can't remember if they do any double murders though. I'm fairly certain there's only ever one victim. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case already? Well, I mean, circumstances being what they may, nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? Well, I actually never really wanted to be a lawyer, but okay. I just wanted to be a tourist. It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? I want to know what love is, and I want you to show me. Yeah, I'm willing to bet, because they haven't shown the body. I'm willing to bet that Mr. McGill is the one that died. Well, learn friend. It's just flashback to the stuff we just did. You can't skip. no one with that evil evil of a laugh could have done a murder. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilded really was innocent. Mr. Naruto? It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you know, in a real court of law, not in that backwards country of Japan, you don't have to prove who did it. You know that, right? You just have to prove that your defendant couldn't do it. That's the lawyer's job. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Huh? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Because I did it. Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial. Oh my god, I didn't realize he was that old. Dang it won't let me see how old he was. What? Mr. McGilded is dead? The birds.
The birds.
I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. I don't think you're gonna need... I think I'm gonna need more than 20 minutes for you to fucking tell me about what happened. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? He was the picture of health. He was actually dying very slowly every day. It was a sad day. He was the most generous and open-hearted man in all of England.
He gave his heart.
He gave his heart and the rest of his body to that fire. After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall... Why did you just do that? As you presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded has been accused of. Well, it's actually now the scene of 2 crimes. That was weird. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, probably He-Man and his sexy abs, the omnibus went up in flames. What? How? I don't know. That is being investigated as we speak, but already the police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of Mr. McGilded. That's awful! The man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more. We should have taken the fucking money! Nobody's gonna take the money now! It's ours, bitch! And how could that have happened? Wait. Yeah, that bailiff.
It was the bailiff the entire time he killed him.
That would be a fucking plot twist. I could see them doing it. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. We're gonna flash back again. Awesome. Which means I get another snacky snoo. Give me a bite. Give me the beat, boys. Free my soul. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, there I open it.
So were we right? What do we think it was the...
What?
Were we right? Do you think it was the what's-his-face who called him over? That killed him? Bailiff?
I think there's something else going on here. The fact that we haven't had a concise ending to any of the trials except for 2 yet leads me to believe that they're not going to reveal anything till the end of the game. Poor Mr. McGilded. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow. It sucked. Mr. Naruto means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. I actually want my drinky drink. I'm gonna be right back.
Drink it, drink.
Of the taco stuff in the bowl and take it for work.
Okay.
It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Sato-san has such a way with words. Meow. 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 And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right one. I was definitely thinking that. Yeah. Ryunosuke can't speak in his head. He just fucking says everything out loud.
Wait, what did he say in his head?
He said in his head, Sato-san has such a way with words. And she responded to that.
Well, she can read minds.
No, everybody's been doing that the whole game.
Oh, okay.
The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. Everyone knows that Britain is the country known for great justice, you know. The peak of equality. Most advanced in the world, is it? That's bullshit. I was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? Yeah, every case in this country is really fucking complicated. As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. Well, he wasn't guilty, so you couldn't lose. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? My time's up. The fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. Did this guy tamper with the evidence? It feels like he knows more than he's letting on.
Mm-hmm.
That can only be attributed to an exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree? But the point, like, why would he do that?
Maybe he had something in it. I mean, Mr. McGolden was pretty rich.
God damn it. Guess we'll just have to keep playing. There's no use contemplating this. I don't know about that. Well, never mind that. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much is at least an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I've prepared a new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me. It's a murder. And the trial starts in 10 minutes. No, it starts in 9 minutes. No, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Did he just read my mind? Oh, yeah, dude, you've been thinking out loud. That is to say, no one has died.
As yet.
Wait. Mr. McGill died, though. Trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. That's pretty precise. So the trial's tomorrow, then. We're actually going to get an investigation segment. Is everything alright? Oh yeah, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... Well, I guess we're never gonna figure it out. What's going on? It's left me wondering if I'm still really cut out for being a lawyer. So we're not actually doing Mr. McGilded's murder. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh. The situation remains unchanged. The trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. If that happens, I may need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time you mentioned the 23 hours, you said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruto. There's something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Osogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Cosmo... 30 seconds. Cosmo always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ourselves in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. 36 minus 14 seconds remaining. Another thing. Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important I have to do. Something very important? I don't know why I keep interrupting you. You're down to 10 seconds. He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he ever made it to... You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruto, what's this all about? Mr. Asoki never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. It's almost like you two were boyfriends or something. Stupid girl. Get out of this fucking love triangle you're not even a part of. I urge you both to focus on your attention on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. How long has he been there? So I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what do you mean? He was talking about us. We were the very something important he had to do. I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we'd better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yeah, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. What you got there? What's that you got there? Just look at all the naughty books. That's not a book! That's... He's not eating a book. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. What about Russia? Why do you ask? I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice how you say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? I think perhaps it's a thought best abandoned. Oh, I can only examine. Alright, you. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Nom nom nom.
Hey, he's actually like disappearing.
But then he shakes it, it comes back.
I want that type of food.
It looks like just fish and chips, I'll be honest.
It is just fish and chips.
Well, we had that this morning. We had walking tacos, which are meant to be done in the bag, not in the bowl, but... What do you drink? Lovely weather, isn't it? We're indoors, son. What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know? But Susato-san told me it was foolproof. I'm a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, and I'm here having to get to the IC you are talking to.
So is this our police detective?
I really fucking hope so. I mean, we're getting him for only the last 2 cases of the game, but can you imagine what the other officers will be saying? Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. All because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. I hear that ripping sound, that's my reputation in the yard going to tatters, and also all the fucking fish and chips I'm eating. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruto, a defense lawyer. Meh. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruto's judicial assistant, Miss Sue. Pretty lady. It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? I like her face there. It's like, there's lovely weather today we're having, isn't it?
Can't be rude to ladies.
No, it is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull that up? I actually think that it would have been really cool to be a female defense lawyer in this day and age. Like, I know they do that with Athena in the 5th game, but, like, I feel like for this time period, Ryunosuke really just isn't interesting enough. Like, I feel like their interaction with Susato are... Everybody's interactions with Susato are way more interesting than anybody's interactions with us. Because it just feels like Naruto is just wimpier Phoenix Wright. The love child of Phoenix and Apollo. So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. And fill up my fish and chips. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Does the detective's name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? It's probably a Sherlock Holmes reference. You're acting like you know this man, Miss Susato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well? Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Rants Magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Holmes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry, and sometimes they kiss. Really? You rival the great Mr. Holmes? That's incredible.
Well, I don't know about that. Mr. Holmes isn't professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time.
Mr. Holmes is equally complimentary to you, Inspector. About you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. That's why we've never heard about this man before. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. That's his highest praise. Well, Mr. Holmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see.
No, he's not. And thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now.
That's great, isn't it?
I have to admit that, to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everybody wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof.
Well, that's wonderful.
No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street.
People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? Seven Outs is online again. He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. Fame's gone to his head and stuff like that. He's always eating fish and chips. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? I'm very paranoid. Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. I'm as sure as eggs is eggs. What? I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear, perhaps the sudden rise to fame does change people. Please just tell us about the case now. I'm gonna put those in my pocket. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it could be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I just have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in hospital, unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? Are we gonna have a Jack the Ripper case? I feel like we're gonna
maybe.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have a Jack the Ripper case. I don't know if they would mention... I don't know. We'll see. I suppose you could have finished whoever it was off with such a takedown, wouldn't you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruto. Brace yourself, Inosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Nope, we knew it was him because the name was... the victim put their name on the floor. Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question? I'm gonna stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. We here in Great Britain don't rely on such crazy ideas as evidence and decisive witnesses. We decide things based on how sketchy and terrible they look. There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. However, not. Simple. Prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Barak von Zeeks. He's never lost a case in his life. What about yesterday's case? He's lost one case in his life. Sounds like you've heard of him then. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. Oh shit. I mean, I guess technically Mr. McGilda did end up dying. So, yeah. Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Barak von Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilda told us about him before the trial, didn't he? Meh, 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 meh. Meh. I don't know what it is, but that fucking newspaper full of fish and chips looks so fucking appetizing right now. Like, I'm not even that hungry, but holy shit, I want to just eat that. The Reaper of the Bailey nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? No, it's because they all die, one way or another. Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruto secured a verdict of not guilty. I don't care. What of it? Oh, well, I think that his nickname needs to change then. That means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? Am I right? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. So, Is he gonna argue that every time Barak von Zeeks gets up on the stand, the person he's prosecuting against dies, even if they're found not guilty? Because I feel like they should be like, wait a second, maybe this guy's killing him. Magnus McGilden came to a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightfully say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zeeks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. He's a witch, I tell you. I would have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? From Mr. Fish and Chips detective over here? No, nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Shake it. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Now shake it. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Shake it. Right, well, I filled you in as requested. I'm very nearly out of chips. My infinite cup of chips is not so infinite now. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out for you to investigations there. It was Briar Row, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? That's correct, ma'am. If you head over there to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already? That's what I said. He's as good as, shaking like a leaf in his cell he is. It'll give you a chuckle, if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. The number is going to be significant. Not to the game, but it's part of a pun. I know it's already setting it up. There's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Something troubling you, Mr. Naruto? I feel like our next defendant's also gonna die in a horrible way. To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, I get super soaking wet whenever I think of him. If you think there's it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too. But if the man they've arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? No! Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thanks. So then, shall we? It's a date! We're investigating a, not murder, but stabbing?